Get a drill.
Freedom is very fragile. It's more fragile when we don't know the truth. You're about to be part of FramersView, where truth is the foundation of every day's program. Join us live every weekday right here on Rumble at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, here's Neil Frame on FramersView.
Hey, here's Neil Frame right here on FramersView. Welcome to the show. A couple of minutes late, but that's okay. The merits will be paid off later on once we get a chance to get that taken care of. Until then, let's watch this again. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We had trouble with the entire process of getting this thing going, and there are so many moving parts. It's unbelievable, but you know what? We got the parts working. Too much adrenaline. Welcome to the show. Hey, do me a favor, would you just go ahead and punch that like button, subscribe, do all those things, help FramersView get bigger and bigger. Would appreciate that. Always wanted to get bigger, but here I am. It's all I am. Okay, man. This weekend was Father's Day weekend. I tried to not spend too much time in the studio planning for today. Yeah, that's impossible. It's impossible. And here's why. There's too much news out there. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. And first of all, if you watch the U.S. Open at Shinnecock, that was, I've never played that golf course. I love to play golf. I've never played that course, but I can tell you this. I don't want to. If the pros can struggle like they did, that's pretty scary. But here's the thing: when you take a look at the guy that won, Wyndham Clark, who, by the way, is a Denver boy, like 30 years old, got a beautiful girlfriend. This is his second Grand Slam win. He was 7 strokes ahead at one point. 7. And then the wheels kind of came off, and, it looked a little rough, but he's back. I mean, all of a sudden he was the guy, and it's really fascinating to see these guys. They were talking about with the psychiatrist, this lady that works with him to work with his brain. We all do that. We work ourselves into a frenzy. Like today when I couldn't get the show going, you just like, and you almost freeze up. Slow is fast. Just take your time. You'll be on the air. Same thing with golf. The closer you get to the end, even if you're only playing for $10 a hole, even if you're not playing for money, and you've got a chance of winning against the other 3 guys, all of a sudden the grip gets a little tighter. That whole that you do, and that was what Wyndham Clark probably was experiencing. It doesn't matter how good you are. A quick story: my cousin was on the PGA Tour. This is many years ago. Great cousin, and he didn't make it. And he and I played golf together. One day, we were playing at Fort Wayne Country Club, which is not a slouch course by any stretch. And he only got to hit the ball 59 times and got in trouble 2 or 3 times and pulled out of it. And you think to yourself, how can a guy like that not make it on the PGA Tour? He played, he made a little bit of money, but he wasn't the big guy. Of course, there wasn't that big money back then. But this is a guy that couldn't make it in a PGA. And he said, I can't do it because my brain just gets too tight. That was his phrase. It gets too tight. Wow. And then there's those guys that's got ice in their veins and can do anything, anytime. Nothing gets them razzled. This was an example, and this was a great example watching that at the golf game. So I got a lot of stuff today. We've got everything from algae to idiocy today. So I hope you'll stay with me. Again, click on the like button, click on follow, click on subscribe, click on whatever you can that makes the Framers View doing more important. If you don't like me, you can even do that. But you'll like me. Trust me. If I can't help you, I won't hurt you. It's an old phrase from a buddy of mine. So Keir Starmer, I wanted to bring this up first. He's quitting because nobody likes him. Well, first of all, he didn't even fight to win. He didn't fight to be okay. He didn't fight to be successful. He was just a failure. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows what's happened. Everybody knows what's happened in London. It's a mess. And the immigration is a mess. And now there's protesters starting to protest the immigration runover that they've got going on. This is insane. This is what has happened in so many countries, including the United States. When you see the videos of down at the wall today compared to 22 when when Biden was in charge, there's no way to get around it. It is a continual, unbelievable, unending mess. And so Starmer is saying, yeah, hey, listen, no, you don't like me, so I'm leaving. I'm leaving on a boat train, or whatever that song was. He's gone. He's not gone yet. They'll find a replacement. They'll find somebody that's as liberal as he is, and they won't understand why nobody can fix anything and it's still a mess. That's what happens. So I got a great story for you today. There's my wife bought something. She found we needed pillowcases, and we had this one pillowcase that it was a pillow that we bought in I think it was in Ireland. Yeah, it was in Ireland when we were there a few years ago, and it's a beautiful hand sewn piece, and it finally just kind of wore out. We used it instead of setting it off to the side, make it pretty. We just did that. And so it got bad. So she got online and she found what she wanted. She got the color she wanted and everything like that. And it got shipped to us. And when we got it, we didn't get it yet. When we got the order in, it was pretty clear it was coming from China. Even though we were buying it either on Walmart or Amazon, I don't know which one. Almost everything comes from Amazon. But we ordered it. Took forever to get here, which is a clue. So Saturday, I was on the phone and I get a phone call and I say, hey, I got to call you back. Took the call. And this guy goes, could you open the gate? And I said, what? He said, open the gate. I can't get in. And I said, in where? He says, I have package for you. I'm not a good accent guy. He was Chinese. We'll get to that in a moment. And I said, there's no gate to get to my house. He says, yeah, I have your address. And he gave me the address and everything. I said, you're not at my address. And I could barely understand him, by the way. And I said, there are no gates anywhere from the highway into our neighborhood, down the streets, getting on the backside of our neighborhood to find me. No gates. So he said, well, I tried to find you. I said, well, wait a minute. You don't know where you are now. Are you using Google Maps? Are you using Waze? What are you using? Google Maps. I said, Google Maps will take you right to my house. Well, we went on and on. I said, where are you right now? He says, at the gate. I said, does the gate have a name on it? Because the two places that there are gates around us, they have names on them. And he couldn't answer that. I don't think he understood. So I said, and anybody that's an old fireman that knows me, there's this website called What Three Words. And those What Three Words app, that app is every 10 feet and every 10 by 10 foot space on the planet, not the United States, not some foreign countries. This is the planet, including oceans. Wherever you are, wherever you're standing, if you open up What Three Words, it gives you 3 words. And, booger, poop, and dog food. I don't know. I'm just making up. But it'll have those 3 words. And you can give that to somebody, and they can either put that in to find you, or they can use that to be able to create a mapping situation. The point is that he couldn't figure that out. So finally, I got him to do Waze, which is another navigation service. And long story short, he finally got here. So he pulls in, car's kind of beat up, Chinese guy. He's got a bag on his passenger seat full of packages. That's just this neighborhood. It's unbelievable how many packages he had. And he handed me the package. And I said, why couldn't you find me? I don't know. And I said, okay, give me your phone. So I looked at his phone and it was all in Chinese. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't do that. I said, can you make that look English? No, but I can type in English. Okay. I said, put in 25147, and I gave him the address. And he put it in, and it said he was there. He's here. And I said, so did you just get here? No. Now you're going to love this. No. I said, so did you just start at the job? No. Oh, okay. So I'm thinking to myself, this guy isn't the brightest bulb in the room if he can't figure out, how to use mapping. I mean, when it comes up, it gives him his mapping, and it's in Chinese so he can read it because he uses the Chinese version. And I said, so is this your side job? He said, side hustle. I think he said something like that. And I was beginning to think, this guy's smarter than I think he is. And I said, so what else do you do? He says, I'm a professor. I'm like, what? You're making deliveries and trying to figure out how to find addresses, and you're a professor? And he says, I'm writing book. And he's telling me he's written, 2, 3, 4 books, and he's doing another book. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this gives you the idea of how separated you are from technology, even though China has massive technology. And then I said, so how long are you going to stay here? Long time. I said, why? He said, hate communism. And he said it gruff. Hate communism. And I was like, wow, this guy gets it. He hates communism. He's from China. He said, we don't have these things in China. I said, what do you mean these things? Food, this, that. He started naming things, just like we saw with the soccer tournaments that's all over the United States, and these people from foreign countries are like, oh my God, look at what's available. I watched a video today. This guy's standing at the front of a Costco, and he says, oh, look at this place, how big it is. He couldn't believe it. He says, it's bigger than the Walmart I was at. I mean, they're buying stuff. They can't believe what's available. Everything's there for them. And these are people from countries all over the world. We live in the best country in the world, hands down. Hands down. Boy, and why America doesn't get it, they do get it. But the ones that hate Trump, hate destroys. Just keep that in mind. If they really got off the hate train, And they spent time looking at what really happens in this country and how great it is and how everything's there available for you. And opportunity is massive. Opportunity is unending if you're willing to put in the time and the effort. And don't tell me about minimum wage, because minimum wage is for minimum people. And minimum people come out of minimum when they finally learn how to work and learn how to do things. That's for the kids in high school and in college, filling time and getting enough money to make it through their classes. And then they go get real jobs. Or they move up in management from minimum wage. But that's all a minimum wage is. And these people that are here are realizing, wow, this is the land of the opportunity. So, long story, sorry, had to share it with you. I hope you can appreciate that I have fun with this stuff. And this guy seemed like a really nice guy. I sent him a text yesterday or day before, and I thanked him and I gave him a link to my show. And he said he'd watch it. We'll see what happens. Maybe he's on now. I don't know. He could text me. But anyway, there's opportunity and people have opportunity. But the crazies, they go crazy. So I've been watching the biggest news story in America. The biggest story, the biggest problems that we have to deal with, all of the things that are going on that are just awful for America, and all of the people that are suffering because of this and that. And it's just terrible. It's terrible. But guess what? The news is the biggest news story. Algae. I'll show you that as we go along. I've got controls. You got to take the controls down. So we can get something done. That was something that was said by Trump. We'll see if that was what was said. Those who don't get it and those who don't want to get it, that's a big piece of their little thing, is that it's not that they didn't get the story right. They're telling the story they want to tell. And as long as they keep doing this, the people that only watch those networks, I feel sorry for them in some sense, because they're not just stupid. They're indoctrinated. They don't ever question, can this possibly be right? And if they would just look at some information, I've got something here I'm going to share with you from a dear friend of mine. I mean, big deal, one of my best, if not the best friend I have, that I've known since high school, beginning of high school, I think our sophomore year. And what he sent me just blew me away. And I'm not picking on him, but I want to use it as an example of when you don't look outside of your little bubble, you won't know. Then Rokana. Oh boy. Marie loves Rokana because he's a moderate. We'll see what that seems like. I got a financial eye-opener for you, and then a Monday crazy. So on with the show. This is it, man. So we've managed to catch a video. A friend of mine in Chicago sent me a video. In case you didn't know the story, Obama's library was opened. And he opened this library with great fanfare. And if you haven't seen the picture, you'll see it in the background here. I read the story that it's supposedly 4 hands together. I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and clearly people don't know what hands look like if that's what they were doing. I drew out something on a piece of paper just thinking about how those hands might work and how you might design that. I did better than that in about 10 minutes. It's just unbelievable. But they got a video of I call it the phallic, the Obama phallic, and but the library, and this library and the video that I have, they've got a new job for Barron Trump, and this is great. Barron Trump now has a new job, and he was at the library just yesterday. So take a look at this. This is him. He showed up right here at the library, and he figured out, he stepped on the button there, it's a trash can. Yeah, the library is really a trash can. And while it's clear to me, very clear to me, that they came up with a solution for what we could really do with that building, I really think that's great. So they did the opening of this library. And, one of the things that I find really kind of crazy is that not only do they do these things, but they have the craziest way of presenting an opening or an opportunity. And Valerie Jarrett, who is a complete whack job, and has been that way forever, and as corrupt as can be. Other than that, she's fine. But this is a video of this was done by Vince Goldenase, he does 8 o'clock, so it's 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Rumble, and he's part of the Dan Bongino show. And he had this, and it's just fascinating. Watch it.
Yesterday, because of Obama's incredible successes as president of the United States, they opened the Death Star, or whatever they're calling it, in Chicago. And they had a big ceremony, and it was all about how great Obama is. Valerie Jarrett was there. She straight up did a land acknowledgement to start the event yesterday. And listen to this idiocy come out of Valerie Jarrett's face.
We'd also like to take a moment to recognize the original inhabitants of the land upon which we are gathered today. We honor the Anishinaabe, the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations.
It's so stupid. It's honestly so stupid. You know what the best part of this, though, is? That after listing all of these various exotic ancient peoples who may or may not have ever transited in any vicinity of Chicago over any period of time, you know who she didn't mention in her list of people who've been displaced, who the land was taken from? The Chicagoans who are being evicted from their houses because of the new Obama Center. Yeah. Actual living people right now who are getting booted out of their homes because Obama decided to build a gigantic trash can in the middle of Chicago. She didn't bother to mention them because she's a lefty. It's not really fundamentally about caring about any human being suffering. It's about virtue signaling about nonsense so that you're not judged on the actual merits.
Boy, has anything ever been more true? This whole thing, everybody's on stolen land if she says that. There were Indians every place, wherever you go, because guess what? They were here before we were. And you could hear my diatribe on that whole situation of how we handled that. I may have different opinions than some, but he's right. You know, the virtue signaling that goes on by the Democrats, I would give that as an example of the same thing that happens in my state, because I only see it in my state with the campaigns that's going on. The two jackasses that are running for governor, the two people that are running for senators, and they have no agenda. All they talk about is Trump. And we're going to beat Trump. We're going to take Trump out. We're going to pound on Trump. We hate Trump. It's an awful Trump. We're going to make him go away. And I've got a story a little bit later that talks about that very thing, about how when we get power, we're going to oversight. And we're going to weaponize the DOJ. The very thing they're claiming we're doing, we being the Republican Party. But it doesn't make any sense if you pay attention to both sides of the story. And when I say the both sides of the story, I ask you to watch CNN and MS Now. If you're on MSN Now, you're one of 25 people. So you really are prioritized big time. But, watch those and watch Fox News, watch Newsmax, look at different things. But don't just use social media, because all they do is lie to you. That's the story. That's what happens. But the good news is, I was talking about the algae and the problem with that, and the obsession over the algae. Well, guess what? They have found a job, first of all, a way to be able to resolve the problem with the algae, and they found somebody to do it. And it's Michelle Obama. She is going to be able to suck up with the Obama Library. They have a hose, and they can go to the reflective library and a pool, and they can clean that up. Right there, you can see it. Michelle's doing a hell of a job in that case. And I think that's fantastic that that's going on and that they've got that solution, because really it's hard to do it without having somebody that's willing to do what they need to do to be able to, solve a problem. This is plain and simple a problem, and she's got the solution. So, I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take her to do it. I really don't. I know that's being silly, but let's be a little more silly. Let's point out the obvious. And most of you won't know or remember that Obama spent 34 million, or maybe it was 31 million, I think it was, $31 million cleaning up the reflective pool. Take a look at this. This is a little timeline. 2011, there you go, 31 million renovation. They redid it. 2012, after renovation. Algae, 2021. They're out there. They're not fishing there, guys. They're not spearing carp. They're out there cleaning up the mess. 2022, I don't even know what the hell that is. And then 23, they're fixing it again. And of course, 26, the news people, by the way, the top three pictures there and the first one down at the bottom, no one in the news reported anything about algae. But now we have algae. And as Scott Jennings said, that's on CNN, he's a Republican on CNN, he said, so are we to believe, of course, this is before showing these slides, are we to believe that for 1.7 billion years, there's been algae, but when Obama was in office, there was no algae, and now it's back? I mean, when you think about that, I mean, yeah, that's true. It's exactly right. And why would we think that any news source would spend time on this? And the answer is, A, they have nothing to do. They have no other story because Trump is winning. They can't stand that. Can't have Trump winning. I mean, nope, can't have it. But here's the interesting point. While they're making a big deal about the algae and everything, have you ever had a pool? How about just one of those little stupid blow-up pools that you have for your little kids, and you put water in it? And in a period of time, if you don't change that water out, there's going to be algae. The reflective pool, I saw algae in that. When was the first time I was in D.C.? Mid-'70s, maybe before that. We didn't go back east much when I was a kid. But as an adult, I think I went to D.C., probably went for a meeting or something, and I went to the reflective pond, and I remember looking down there and seeing massive algae. Well, there's no place for this water to go. It doesn't circulate. Somebody said to me the other day, they said, well, wait a minute. Why wouldn't you just, get a fountain and circulate the water? Because it's a reflective pool. That means with no wind, it reflects the Lincoln Memorial. It reflects the Washington Monument. It reflects everything that's around it. That's why they don't do it. Now, it seems like they ought to be able to have some way to be able to have water be circulated through somehow from the bottom and keep moving it that way, filtering it. But what's interesting is this algae that has come in so fast, guess what? And I know all you libs that watch this show, you're going to say, oh, that's BS. There were people to put chemicals in there to cause the algae, to make it happen faster, because they got to have that there before July 4th, when the 250th celebration goes on. So we got to destroy it now to make Trump look bad. And you would say, that's just BS. Well, there's people that have been arrested already. There's people they've caught, including an Olympic cyclist, I think, who claims all I did was look in the water to see what it was, and I wanted to report it, and he had pulled up part of the side wall. That doesn't happen in a matter of a few weeks, unless somebody's doing something crazy. So Jeanine Pirro is going to do something about it. Watch this.
Anyone who is in a position of vandalizing or attempting to vandalize the reflecting pool will face the criminal justice system in D.C. Look, the president has made it a priority to make D.C. not only safe but beautiful. And there are several citations that have been handed out to individuals, and these are cases that will be prosecuted to the full extent. If there are more serious products that are put into the reflecting pool to create more algae or a bigger problem, then we'll consider more serious charges. But make no mistake, making D.C. beautiful is a priority. And if you damage, vandalize, or do anything to impact something like the reflective pool, you can be prosecuted.
Yeah, it's called vandalism, you morons. So back to the pool idea. I had a pool, beautiful pool, in my backyard when I was living back east. And God, every time it rained, because back then they talked about acid rain, it was just rain. But the rain comes in, there's stuff in the air, obviously. It gets into the pool, and the pool will turn green. And now you got to pour the chemicals in. And, you put the tablets in that controls the water phosphates and all of that, and you do your little test of the water. And you do that every day. And then you vacuum the pool and you clean it out. That's what a pool commitment is. The reflective pond, it's not that. And they don't have a vacuum that will vacuum that whole place up. It's monstrous. That's not going to happen. So the sun causes a problem. And when you have summer, it's a little more sun. Just in case you don't understand how the meteorological process works, let me share with you what happened yesterday. Yesterday, just in case you didn't know, was a really long day, longer than any day this year. Oh, wait a minute. That happens every year, doesn't it? Yes. It's June 21st. It's the longest day of the year. And here it is. This is the number of hours, the longest day, hours of daylight. And if you're any place in the United States, it's between, the southern part of Florida is 13 and a half hours, but most of us are 14 to 16 hours. You go up to Minnesota and it's freaking daylight until, like to the Boundary Waters, it's daylight until the middle of the night, it seems like. You can fish forever, and I have. But that's reason why more sunshine, more algae. Get over it, guys. Don't make a story out of something that's not a story. It's just stupid. It is just stupid that we are to this point where they have to do these stories the way they do them. Enough about algae. So, guy interviews this woman. I don't know where he is, but he's asking about the illegals and the brown people. And this woman is an expert. She knows everything about these poor people that are being separated from their family and being thrown out of the United States and blah, blah, blah. I took a little clip of this, and this is just classic. Watch this.
I have people I personally know who have been taken, and they're shattered.
Is that actually what happened? ICE took someone that they saw was just brown.
I don't know the backstory to everything.
That's what you just said. You just made that accusation.
I don't know the backstory to everything.
Were they U.S. citizens?
No, they weren't.
Were they U.S. citizens? No. No, that would, no. Oh my God. That's the story in a nutshell, really, when you get right down to it. And I don't think anybody has really kept track of the fact that these things that are said by people who think they know, or they're going by what they're hearing in the entire social media world, that they can't resist just retelling that story. That's the problem. Therein lies the problem. And I don't think we can do anything other than just try to get people to understand and listen. But after her saying all those things, how people are separated, how people are this and that, and then you realize, well, okay. So really, it's not that they're separated because they're just separated. They're separated because they've been arrested and they're being taken out of this country because they're illegal and they broke the law. It's going on in England right now. Starmer's going away. Starmer being blown out because of immigration. And their little country is raising hell. So with all of that said, there's a guy he was president, one of the greatest, most brilliant, probably the smartest president ever, knew everything. Just ask him. And you might, think this, but this is a story that's important to understand, because this is something Trump said about, if you just take the rules away, take the controls away, I can get a lot done. Trump said that. Or did he?
Okay, let me finish. Let me. How about these guys don't need to go. Let me finish. No. You can stay there. Let me. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. So, I respect the passion of these young people because they feel deeply about the concerns for their families. Now, what you need to know when I'm speaking as President of the United States, and I come to this community, is that if, in fact, I could solve all these problems without passing laws in Congress, then I would do so. But we're also a nation of laws. That's part of our tradition. And so the easy way out is to try to yell and pretend like I can do something by violating our laws. And what I'm proposing is the harder path, which is to use our democratic processes to achieve the same goal that you want to achieve. But it won't be as easy as just shouting. It requires us lobbying and getting it done.
Getting it done. Okay, first of all, there were people upset with Obama. And why is that? Because he threw out more illegals, I think, than Trump has. Maybe Trump's caught up with him by now. But this is the point. They forget about that, or they just ignore it. That Obama was the guy that created the cages that they're accusing Trump of. Obama was throwing out more people than Trump was. Obama had algae and nobody reported the story. Are you getting it here? Are you figuring out what I'm talking about? This goes on and 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 on, and it just becomes stupid. And then it becomes almost funny, because it has to be funny or you shoot yourself in the head. It just goes on. So we've got this whole thing of news. What do you think the chances are that Cory Booker would ever go on Fox News, Newsmax, or any of the major podcasts that are Republican? The answer is they wouldn't. And part of the reason is very simple. He's a whack job. Watch this, and then I've got a story to show you.
But right now, Iran has billions and billions of dollars of benefits. It's almost as if American dollars, American resources are now going to be used to help rebuild Iran while we are continuing to carry the bill for it.
So what is the alternative then to ending the war?
Well, the alternative is not having a president that led us into this war, that surrendered all of our leverage, that is giving Iran everything they want and achieving none of the specific goals that he said he wanted. We have a disaster for a commander-in-chief who's leaving us with less and less good choices.
God, you know, I can't imagine being as stupid as this guy is. And then the answer is, no, wait a minute. He's not stupid. They're flat out lying to you. My dear friend, the best friend I have, the friend that I've had since literally the 1960s, that I have known for a long time, and we're good friends, and we're still good friends. But he sent me something that just put me over the top. His comment, I went on social media and found the following chart. It compares Obama's JCPOA to Donnie's big shitball of failure. As you scroll down the list, you can plainly see that Iran is the clear winner in every category. That's what my buddy is saying. I'm glad he's in another state right now, because we'd get into it probably. Let's talk about it. Number one, unfrozen Iranian assets. Obama compared to Trump. Obama, 1.7 billion, only 1.7. Trump, 25 billion. And you would say, whoa, Trump gave away $25 billion because it says right here, unfrozen Iranian assets. Well, first of all, Obama didn't release assets. Obama put pallets of $1.7 million cash into an airplane, flew it to Iran, and gave them the cash and said, please don't bomb us. And he went back home, him being Obama. Obama didn't go there. Like they're going to appease these crazies. And the $25 billion that they claim Trump gave, that's what it cost to be able to do this conflict, which somebody had to do. Had to. Iranians' uranium stockpile reduced by 98% reduction. And then he says Trump is no agreement. This is on this sheet that I got. No agreement. No, there's no agreement. We've got an understanding, which Trump has made very clear and everybody else has made. When you do an MOU, that is basically setting the boundaries to be able to start your negotiations. There's nothing settled, but we certainly don't have. He didn't have an agreement, and there was no 98% reduction, or we couldn't have removed all of those nuclear weapons and the uranium. Enrichment, Iran's enrichment program capped at 3.7%. It should be 0.0%, and he says there's no agreement with Trump. Of course not. You got to think about this. There's no agreement yet because we're in the period of negotiation. Iran sanctions lifted by Trump. They were in place with Obama with their $1.7 billion. Hormuz, listen to this, the Strait, open without restrictions or tolls. That's what Obama had. Open with Iranian, Oman, control and tolls. No, it's open. But he believes the social media. American lives lost, 15, yes. And it was 0 with Obama because nobody went any place, nobody did anything. And if you do nothing, nobody's going to get hurt. Come on, man. 0. American injuries to get the deal, 0. Just give them $1.7 billion, walk away, and hope to hell nothing happens before we get out of office. So it's 0. 543 people have been injured during the Trump fight. But by the way, that includes the people that have been injured in other countries. Most of them are people that were on bases, and we've been attacked by Iran and other proxies. Direct cost to get the deal. This is first of all, cost of no diplomacy for Obama, because there was no diplomacy, none, no diplomacy. Just give them cash and hope it goes away. Didn't work. Over $100 billion they're claiming with Trump. That's a direct cost. I grokked it. There is no direct cost. There's the $25 billion that we've spent to get rid of their uranium, to get rid of their missiles, to get rid of their ships, to get rid of their bombs, get rid of everything, launchers. Additional geopolitical risk. There's no way to know what that is, but it's greater than COVID-19, according to this list on Trump. And there was no just basic negative with Obama. Additional costs, millions for oversight and monitoring. That's what they said, millions, not billions. It's just an M. $300 billion for reconstruction by Trump. Just grok it. Just GPT track it. Look it up. No is the answer. Trump is giving nothing. There's other countries that are saying they're going to help Iran recover and reconstruct their country. But everybody's agreeing they're going to do what they agree to, or that isn't going to happen. So I'm not going to drag you through the last one. These are good ones. Effect on American wage growth, none with Obama. Set back 1.5 years. Well, guess what? American wage growth is going on right now. So how are we set back 1.5 years? Grok it. And then American weapons stockpile, it was no change with Obama because he did nothing. And they're saying it's depleted with Trump. Of course it's depleted with Trump, because guess what? He's doing something. There's somebody way smarter than these people that we're talked to. Victor Davis Hanson. Watch his comments. This is with Shannon Bream. And this really tells a story. Watch this.
They are terrified that if he wins the midterms and the price of gas goes down, he's got a free hand, and he already has a free hand now. So they are afraid that Donald Trump is going to drag it out, because if he drags it out after the midterms, after the 250th anniversary, he's going to have a lot more options than he does now when he's worried about gas and the midterms. So the dynamic is all upside down. They are the ones that have the time clock. And then the final thing is, there's no air defenses. So did Barack Obama ever have that? Did Joe Biden ever have that scenario? The Israelis and the Americans destroyed their air defenses.
This is important. They're afraid that Trump is going to be able to take this all the way out. And God save us. This is Iran saying this. God save us if the Vance or whoever ends up being president as a Republican, Iran won't have a chance. That's what they're worried about. So Victor Davis talks about, he continues with the misconception. Watch this.
Well, when Barack Obama or Elizabeth Warren say Iran is better off than they've ever been, that's unhinged. I mean, they've suffered probably $500 billion to their nuclear military industrial complex that took them 50 years to build. And we don't even know the degree. It could be a lot worse than that because there's no ground troops. We don't have any embedded reporters. That's number one. And then they keep saying, well, the strait was open before and now it was closed and now we had to negotiate to get it open. It was only open because they chose not to cause trouble. And they chose not to cause trouble because the last 7 presidents said, we don't dare touch you. We're not going to interfere with your nuclear programs. When Obama thought he could give them $1.7 billion and they still proceeded. Any president who finally confronted them and said, you're not going to have a nuclear weapon, was confronted with the idea they were going to try to close the strait. So that's the only reason that they did that. And then the other thing is, very quickly, is they think time is on Iran's side. Time is not on Iran's side. Every day the sanctions and the squeeze are losing $400 or $500 million. They want to make a deal, but Donald Trump wants the price of oil to go down, the gas to go down, and he also believes that with the redistricting and all of its manifestations, and if gas goes, he can win the midterms, and that's not what Iran wants.
Boy, that's so true. They do not want Trump's team to win, because what will happen then? They won't be able to have a week. Can you imagine? Think of any person on the Democrat side that's going to run for president. Start with Newsom, Kamala Harris, Ro Khanna. I mean, there's probably what's his name? I can't think of his name. The governor of Pennsylvania. I think he'll probably throw his hat in. Any of these people, they are not going to be strong. Trump is the first strong president we've had, truly strong, that was a precursor to the problems instead of, well, not really precursor to this problem because obviously it's been 47 years. But he stepped into this and stopped it. We've had no president that's done that. 7 other presidents. Nobody's done it. And now here we are. And he's done it. And they're saying Trump's weak and Trump's doing this and he's giving in too much and he's letting them get everything they want and we're winning nothing. We're losing. And wherever that sheet went, I just threw away. Iran is winning. No, Iran is not winning. And Trump is going to stop. I can tell you right now, this is a setup for, I know how Trump thinks. I totally get how he thinks. He's done this 60-day. He's set up the process of negotiation. He's saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, or we're going to break you. And as soon as they break or they don't agree by the end of 60 days, he's going to end this, I think. That's my opinion. And I hope he's learned that you're not going to give him any more time. That's the one thing that bothers me about him. But he wants to not have war. So Trey Yingst had talked to Trump. Watch this.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just spoke with President Trump for more than 20 minutes, and he gave some new insight and reaction about the ongoing talks that are taking place in Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking 20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country.
I think he means it. George W. Bush, when he went down to New York to the Twin Towers at that awful event, and said, we're coming for you. He did it. Now, there were some questionable situations going on. Who had what and what had been moved and what was there and what wasn't there and who was responsible and all that. But he was decisive. We're going to make a difference now. You're not going to get away with this. It's just, man, we're in a tough spot right now. All of us, basically everybody in America has two situations to be concerned about. One is the cost of living. I mentioned the other day, a few little things that I had in my arms walking out of the grocery store was $30, and I didn't have a steak in there. And it's expensive. That's number one. But number two, if we don't have somebody like Donald Trump that is acting as a true president, that's saying we are not going to let somebody that hates America have a nuclear weapon and be able to have a missile that can get to the East Coast. You know, we don't need to kill people in Maine, in Massachusetts, in New York, and in D.C. They'll get that range. They have the ability probably now. We don't know how much ability we do have, though, that they could get from Iran all the way to France with the missiles they have right now. And Trump's concerned about that. He cares about people who care about their country and ours. And I think he'll stand up to it. Final thing. You know, I talked about the economy, what's going on, and I have to end the show with this because it's something that's important to keep in mind. Because everybody says Trump's done nothing, he's destroying the country. And watch this. This is from Unleashed Prosperity. And this is fascinating. This is about when Reagan was in office. Ronald Reagan. And it took us away from 18 to 20% interest and an economy that was in the tank, thanks to his predecessor when he was stupid, Greenspan and the age of American prosperity. He died yesterday at the age of 100. Resided as chairman of the Federal Reserve Board during the long period, 1987 to 2006, of almost unprecedented American boom and economic dominance that is now inaptly called the Great Moderation. Now, this is coming from Unleashed Prosperity, which, in fairness, is a group of people that are amazing on the financial side. He was appointed by Reagan in the second term, then through the prosperous Clinton years, then the successful early years of George W. Bush presidency. During his reign, inflation, this is with Greenspan, averaged between 2% and 3%. He operated under the Volcker rule, using commodity prices as a forward-looking gauge of inflation to keep prices stable. And it worked magnificently. Can you say Art Laffer and the Laffer curve? Here's some quick overview. Job creation, 38 million. This is way before now today, where we've got 330 million. I meant to look it up. There were 200 and some million back in Reagan's days, maybe high 100 and some millions. Inflation, 2.5%. Annual stock market return, nominal 10.8. The stock market return, 7.8. Value of $100 invested from 86 to 2007, $842. So you made $742 on your $100. 100. Make that 1,000. Make it 10,000 investments. It's a lot of money. Added GDP in 1986 to 2007, 4.9 trillion to 14.1 trillion. It was an era of massive job creation, a 20-year bull market, rising real incomes, relative price stability, and total American economy supremacy. We do an injustice to Greenspan to call this era Great Moderation. All that was moderate was inflation. It was the Great American Boom, which thankfully has resumed under Donald J. Trump. This is what I've been saying all along. This is Trump at his finest. He understands finances. He understands how to get things back in order, and everybody hates him for it. He's cutting expenses. He's the first guy that actually said, we're going to cut expenses, and he's doing it. And the people around him are doing it. God bless him. Man. Hey, thanks for being here, being there. Appreciate you. Please click on like, click on subscribe, follow, be part of the show. I really appreciate it. We're here every Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And until tomorrow, rock on.
Thanks for your support. Join the FramersView Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern.